Hi there, welcome, Graham. Really appreciate you joining me. For those that don't know who you are, and saves me waffling on, who are you and what do you do?
Hello, mates. Thank you for doing this. I'm really excited to do this. So I'm Grahame Farmer. I worked in the music industry for the last 20 years. I run a website called Data Transmission for the last 15 years. Data Transmission is an online blog, music website. Before that, I worked for a nightclub, which is I think where I met you, called Turn Mills in London, and I worked there for the last 5 years, and that was a massive education. But then, yeah, I started DT, and like I said, DT is an online blog website. We have channels across SoundCloud, which are I think we've got six from counting, and they've got like 300,000 followers across all of them, and nearly done 100 million streams. Obviously, got channels on YouTube and Spotify and Instagram, and we just sort of talk about music, and that's one thing we do. And I've, like I said, done that for a long time. We've got record labels, we have a radio station with 160 shows being wanting to be shows on our radio station, which is mental. And 3 record labels. And then the other side we do is I educate people. So about 5-6 years ago, I started working with a young artist called Ben Sterling, and he's really young. Like he used to come around with his dad because he was only 16, and him and his dad and me used to sit and talk about music, and we'd kind of. Then I was just like listening to his tracks and doing a bit of A&R, and I didn't really know I was doing A&R, and just kind of going, "You should change this, it'll work better. It'll work better on the floor." And also kind of helping him build his socials and building his brand and helping him network, and all the kind of things you need to be an artist. And then one summer he got 5 tracks signed to a label called Hot Creations, which is run by Jamie Jones, and that really exploded him. Like he went from a few thousand followers to 30-40,000 followers over the summer, and then from there he kind of blew up basically, and it was amazing to watch and amazing to be part of. And then he went off in his own way, and yeah, it's so fun. He went off in his own way, and then essentially I took all that knowledge and started then turning it into some Instagram posts. So I started building an Instagram page, and then I started building my YouTube channel, and putting all the similar content on across those channels. And from there, then I started coaching artists, and I coached 300 artists in a kind of one-to-one series, which was really fun. And then from there, I've turned that into an online course with group mentoring, which I absolutely love. And it really expanded the reach of what we can achieve, which is amazing.
Congratulations on everything you've done. There's some really big numbers there. That's really cool. I wanted just 2 things to allude quickly from what you just said there. So when you learned from on the coalface, there's been no specific training. You've learned from doing. Would that sound about right?
Oh yeah, totally. So like along the data transmission way, for a long time I didn't really have much help or mentorship, or like there was no one kind of saying you should try this or you should do this, and I literally had to work it out my own way. And now I'm kind of older and grey-haired, and I'm now I'll happily help everybody because I didn't have much help in this industry, and yeah, I've literally learned it from working with artists, and then what I learned from those artists, putting it into the next artist, then kind of adapting it and building it and growing it. But I'm also constantly learning. Like I read loads. I'm on YouTube researching and digging down rabbit holes of YouTube to learn the latest techniques and trends. So yeah, like all self-taught.
And what you teach, and you're going to share some, I'm looking forward, you're going to share some fantastic knowledge with us today. Does it matter that you specialize and started off in electronic music? Does what you teach and what you can share, it covers all genres? Is it the same for different types of artists?
Yeah, massively. In fact, I've watched kind of other people talk about Instagram and talk about social media on YouTube, and essentially it's all the same, whether depending, it doesn't really matter what niche you're in. It's just about doing the right things within that niche and staying within that niche. So yeah, it works across all artists. I just adapt it for our audience and DJs and producers, but yeah, works across all artists.
Awesome. Okay, so let's dive into it. A short closed question. Can you grow a strong online presence with social media organically?
Massively, yeah. Easily. So many people have done it. So many people have done it in the last few years. Yeah, like I always think with social media, pick a platform, and put about 80% of your time into one platform and do one platform really right. And what I mean by that is just literally learn everything about it. learn what's trending, learn what content's working, watch other people's content, interact with other people, do everything and just be in that platform. And you'll find it doesn't really matter which platform it is. If you do one really right, and then what you do is from those learnings, you then can do that across other platforms, and build those ones as well.
Okay, so diving into, there's so many subheaders and topics on this. So you're saying you choose one platform. In your eyes experience, I believe that it's about your own personal goals, and there's also a model of Instagram for your existing followers, TikTok to be found, and YouTube for some videos. But from your experience, you say pick one. What would guide that pick one? What would that one platform be for an artist? What would be your sort of parameters to
yeah, sorry, yeah, just what you. Firstly, it's whether what ridiculous growth for new people and new followers with YouTube.
You just dropped out again for about 20 seconds.
Why is my connection so unstable? I wonder what it is. Yeah, okay, we're back. It says it's
go back to so moving on to what type of platform would be good for an artist to choose. What parameters have you got that you would advise?
Yeah. So I always think, like, which one would you feel most comfortable on, first and foremost? Like, or which one can you push yourself to feel most comfortable? Can you, because obviously a lot of people don't feel comfortable on any social media platform. So which one do you like? Which one do you like being on? Like, there's still mad growth on Twitter and Threads. If all you like doing is tweeting and putting out emotions and putting out content like that. And from an artist point of view, there's still crazy growth on there, and there's still still a big audience. You can still grow. Like, YouTube is mental for artists and DJs and producers, and there's still so much reach and so much new fans to be found on those platforms. Even SoundCloud, even just being a SoundCloud artist these days, because there's so many new fans. And I spoke to SoundCloud recently, and they were like, our audience is 18 to 24 at the moment, and it's skewed so much lower because there's this mad new audience of SoundCloud users because of short form content, whether it's from Instagram Reels or TikToks or YouTube Shorts, that they want to give away a free download, and they've got to give it away somewhere, so it has to go to SoundCloud, and they have to listen to it in full on SoundCloud. Especially from the bootlegs and the edits, this era we're back in now with edits and bootlegs, so just like my main channel is YouTube. Definitely, it's where we put most of my work. I was up early this morning writing another script, and writing another piece of content, and then everything filters out to the other platforms. The YouTube content goes on Instagram. I stream on Twitch, and that goes on my TikTok. And it's that kind of model of just spread it across multiple platforms. But I always think, which one do you feel comfortable on, and which one are you gonna like?
Awesome. Okay, so moving on to the type of content, many questions I've had to me is like, what am I releasing? And my first question is, does content change according to the end goal? Meaning, is your content creation differ for your pre-release or a release to or fan growth? It would be different in your eyes, but you would still run them parallel, or how do you create content or get content ideas that matter to you and your potential present and potential audience?
Okay, yeah, I definitely think you should run them in parallel. Like, I think there should be, like, if you're mapping out your month for a content plan, then you've got a release, right? So there's release content that's gonna be around there, and that's gonna fit into what you do. The rest of the month, then you're either left with a void, or you're left with, right, what do I fill this with? And I always think, like, most of the time I kind of advise my course members is, think about Netflix. you go on Netflix because you want to watch a series, and you like watching series because you can binge them, you can watch them every week, you can tune into them, you know that they're going to be there, especially ones that go, run every week and there's a new episode every Wednesday or Thursday. Think about that. So I think about that from a social media point of view, right? That's a platform that concept works. So think about series for yourself. Like, how can you build a series of content that you can do that doesn't take any external influence? It's just you and your phone or your camera or your decks if you're a DJ, or it's a production thing, it's a music thing. Think about a series that you can do every week or every 2 weeks. Maybe it's a radio show, for instance, or a podcast. You can do that every couple of weeks, that you can then build out content from that becomes this series. And it's like when you start live streaming, you'd set the time you're going to start streaming, and you say that I'm going to start stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That's my time. And what you find is by turning up on a set day and a set time, people will put it as part of they get used to it, and they get used to you being there at that time. So then it becomes part of their routine as well. So people then start turning up for you, which then builds your audience. We have people that turn up have breakfast with us every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because they're in the States and they're behind us, and we even joke that we're going to make our own breakfast cereal at some point, just for our US followers.
That's awesome. So if I'm not mistaken, that's performance content. You could class that as performance content, the mixes, the shows, the live streaming, that type of thing. How would you go about differentiating yourself? Because we know the 120,000 tracks a day, and with all the AI, and your brand is so important. How do you create story content that stands out? How do you create and come up with ideas for your story to show what you're all about and your messaging?
Essentially, because always like from artist content, it's always like you plus the easiest artist content is you plus some music equals some content. So me and what I know from a music point of view, my music is going to be completely different, and the stories around that music, why I'm going to tell you about this new record that I've got a whole ton of vinyl. I go in the vinyl and go, right, I'm going to pick this one out today, and I bought this one in 1997, and I bought it because it had a really cool picture disc. Look at it, it's really cool. But I then started listening to it, and actually on the B side, there's an amazing track which I didn't even know existed, and I'm going to play that one for you because it's really rare, and I think you're going to love it. You're not going to have that story, so that you plus that piece of music is never going to exist because that's unique to you, and then you're going to build that out. So what your stories are and what your life experiences are and what you've done is going to help that, and by attaching some music to it, that's then going to that's going to build out your content. So if you're a singer, for instance, you might do a cover. Your series might be, I'm going to cover one track a week, or I'm going to give away a piece of vocal every week, and it's going to be my interpretation of a track. And it might be something like, I heard this when I was a child, I was 5, my dad used to play it in the car, and me and my dad used to go and do something, and that's your story plus that piece of music. But then you give it away as a kind of, go and get it on the next reel or the next thing in TikTok, and then do something with it, make something of it, and then share it back to me.
That's awesome advice. Love that. Enjoy that. And I was just processing and taking that in. Anything that you've learned about visually or aesthetics, what works, what doesn't work?
Always bright. If you can be bright and colorful, which is really hard with clubs, obviously. Clubs and DJs, dark rooms, not much lighting. It's what pops off the screen. Like, people, you've got to stop the scroll, obviously. And what stops off the screen is if it's dark and you can't see much and the audio is rubbish and the video is rubbish, it's going to get swiped. So if it's, especially with Instagram, if you're scrolling and it pops, that's going to stop the scroll. It can still be maybe a dark thing, but there's like a flash. You've just got to get that piece of content. Always I find when people are making content, the hardest part is picking the perfect section of that piece of content and getting the most out of that. Like, you might record a minute of video, but there's 10 really, really good seconds in the middle. And a really good content creator a really good content creator will know those 10 seconds, where they are and what's going to pop. A really bad content creator will put all the whole minute up and just and the views will be much less, because that watch time, even though it's a lot shorter, 10 seconds, they might watch it 10 times, and that watch time's then much higher than someone that watches half of that minute video.
Would you say creating content that you think you're making it pop, you put it out and you're moving straight on to the next one rather than trying to revisit? You always just learning from each one and trying to be 1% better. I had an artist the other day, and he was like, I posted, he's very early on the journey, and I've posted, but it's not getting, it's got like 400 views. What do I need to do to it to make better? What would be that advice? Is just constantly tweaking the colors, tweaking the lighting, seeing what works, researching, seeing if there are other two people in the video works or different parts of the song. Is that what you would advise?
Yeah, 100%. The really good platform is, if you've made that as a TikTok or an Instagram reel, for instance, and it's short form content, create a YouTube video, a YouTube channel, and load it into YouTube, and load it as a short as well. And what you'll find from shorts is that the analytics on YouTube is so good. You can literally look at the graph and see where people stopped, where they watched to, and then where they dropped off. And where they dropped off, that's where it was boring. Maybe there's a spike where they came back and watched it a bit again. Chop those bits out and make it shorter, and then that's, you're gonna get your 100% watch time. Or, like you say, change the colors, change the approach. You know, if it's a like different use, you definitely using different parts of the track, because you never know what part's going to resonate with somebody. And definitely when you're starting to look at things like ad strategies, running 4 ads with different parts of the track, because you never, like I say, never know it's going to work. But yeah, just edit. I recycle a lot of content. If you go through my content, you'll see every 3 or 4 months I recycle content, and retry something with a different color, with a different look, and just see if it gets a better time. Also, different people online at different times. It gets shown to a different percentage of people when it gets posted. So you never know.
Static or reels?
Both.
Balance of, find it, is it specific for each audience, or just in your opinion?
From an Instagram point of view, at the beginning of the year, Instagram re-looked at single image posts, and now they get about 50% of the feed. So I'm definitely trying to throw in maybe at least one single image, but if not, I really should be doing 3 or 4 a week, and 2 or 3 reels. Like there's so many. What I definitely want to say is there's so many kind of unhealthy guides to what people should be putting out from a content point of view. When I went to Amsterdam Dance, hang on, I'm going to hear that playing.
No.
Okay. When I went to Amsterdam Dance event last year, there was a chat from Meta, and Meta obviously own Facebook, Instagram, Threads, WhatsApp, and they said that by doing 1 reel a week, 5 reels a month, over a 60-day period, you're going to grow by 2.5% over people that don't use them. So at the very, very minimum, 1 reel a week, you're going to grow. And don't try and look at what's the kind of, because I could quite easily say, you need to do 4 reels a week, you need to do 6 single image posts, you need to do 3 carousels, you need to go live once a week. And half of the people listening to this podcast will go, holy moly, there's no chance I'm doing that. I've got enough going on my plate anyway. Just work out a really, really healthy schedule for you, and then try and improve it the next month or the next month. But start with at least once a week, because that's you've got 7 days to make it and get it right, and then post it.
Yeah, I did have a chat with TikTok here in the Middle East, and they did advise a sweet spot for them. And obviously that can change, because it was about 55 reels a week for short form originally. I remember it was like 7 a day or something. But they did mention to me that it was 3 a week would be a sweet spot.
That's it. Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Just I'm all against there's so many people saying you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do, just do what fits into your life. Put in some time in your life. I always think like going to the gym, like making content's like going to the gym. Like when you start making content, and with the gym, you don't start off like being able to run I'm sweaty and I've just run 8K. But 3 weeks ago, I couldn't run 8K. I couldn't even run a kilometer because I abused my body from festivaling all summer. And I've had to build up to that 8K, and I'm still not. I want to get to 10K next week. And making content's the same. You don't start off with the best piece of content. You start off with a really, really rubbish one, and you just kind of evolve it and get better at it. And you make templates, and you kind of things become a lot easier. So find a strategy that works into your life, like going to the gym, and put some time into your diary every day, just a little 30 minutes to make content. Whether you post it that day or just work on the piece for the end of the week.
Yeah, I heard a great quote, and I'm going to butcher it, I know, because we were chatting, but 1 hour of doing is infinitely better than 10 hours of planning.
Yes, execute everything.
Just learn
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, for so many years, I had so many ideas and never executed, and I used to sit there going, I've got a great idea. I've got a great idea. And I thought you needed everything. You needed all the best cameras. You need all the best that. You needed all this, the extra. And now I just go, how do I start it? How do I start doing it? What have we got? What is the bare minimum I need to start doing this idea? Let's go with it and turn it and see if we can make it work. And if it works, then evolve it and add stuff to it.
Amazing. Okay, so hashtags.
Yes.
Maybe SEO, because you're talking about YouTube. Let's do hashtags first. Are they still a thing? And
depends on the platform.
Are they important?
Depends on the platform. They definitely still work on TikTok because they're the trending ones. They have trending hashtags. Where they work a little bit on Instagram, but they're more kind of categorization now. Instagram's going really categorization and really search engine SEO. Obviously, TikTok's quite SEO based and quite searchable. They're just trying to catch up on the master, which is obviously YouTube, which has always been search engine optimization because it's owned by Google. But even the tags on the hashtags, or they have tags on YouTube, which are more long tail ones, which you can have gaps in the spaces, and even there they say put some in that might work, but you're better just making sure the SEO in the post and the SEO in the titles and the thumbnails are all the best things. Hashtags on Insta, yeah, still categorization. So when it comes to post, make sure that everything in the hashtags relates to the post. So if it's a DJ playing at Fabric, playing a Hot Creations record, then it's quite simple. I've watched a lot of Mr. Beast recently, and if you watch his podcasts, whenever he says anything about content, it's just he gets up and goes, right, how do I make the best video I can? How do I make the best piece of content I can? The rest sorts itself out. And I've been trying to adopt that mentality. How do I make the best piece of content that's possible to me right now? And everything else will sort itself out.
Can I chuck an example or a case study? If an artist is in London and they post something and all they're getting their views on their insights is UK, and they wanted to get a bigger share of the market or be exposed to America, would hashtags be the answer?
No, I'd probably run ads on it.
Just ads?
I'd probably push it. I'd probably go into Ad Manager, and I would run it against a US audience and then start pulling audience over. Also, I'd start interacting, because the big thing with Instagram is there's a whole, when it comes to the kind of how you get your posts to get more reach, that everyone kind of talks about what's the context of the post and what's in it, and then they kind of talk about the social signals. Has it shared or liked or commented or or saved? And also things like watch time are important. But there's a whole relationship side to, are you actually using the app? Are you actually involved in the community? Are you being social on the network? And I'd start finding people in America that you can start interacting with, because the whole DMing thing, when you start DMing somebody, Instagram AI and Instagram algorithms go, well, these two must be friends because they're chatting and conversing in our DMs. So we should show them each other's content. So just start being a bit more social in the network, and then you'll start building that audience.
This moves lovely into my next question. You must be thinking ahead. Techniques for engagement or interaction. We know that nurturing, relationship building, turning fans into real fans, or just getting, as you said, lookalike audiences. If I'm a singer-songwriter from the UK, there's 1 million fans to start talking to on Ed Sheeran's page. So there are fans there that you can start bringing them over. Any hacks, things that the musicians can do in order to increase engagement? I'm a believer of asking a question on on comments to keep the conversation going. Many times people just they go, love this music, and you send a heart and you say thank you, and I believe that the conversation is then dead. That's an open chat. People are coming into your shop, they've looked at the shop window, they've come in, and you're asking them to leave again by just saying thank you. There's chances to ask questions and communicate with them. Is there anything else that comes to mind for you about how to increase engagement and nurturing relationships on social media?
Yeah, I think you're right. I agree with all those. Like your call to action of what you're trying to achieve with that piece of content is so important. Like sometimes it's not about the conversation. Sometimes it's just about the watch. And there's so many people that think I've not gained any followers, I've not gained any likes, or I've not got any engagement on this post. But a watch is still is so important. And the amount of times I will flip through the reels section and just literally scroll and scroll and scroll and watch stuff and not interact with anything, but I've seen them and I've seen that person, and if they and then I'll see them again and I'll see them again, and maybe the fourth time, because I like what they're doing, then I might follow or interact, So the watch is definitely still is a high interaction. So again, with YouTube, same with TikTok. So there's definitely shouldn't undervalue that, and just not. And if you got high watch time, that's just as cool. But yeah, like definitely having a conversation. Sometimes it is about just drop me a heart, and you get a whole lot of hearts, and that's cool. And they then become part of your world. There's definitely I found a little hack. Where did I find that little hack the other day? Yeah, there's a really cool hack. I've not really told anyone about this, so it's quite cool. If you go on your post on Instagram and you click on the people that have liked your post, and then you go and it brings up a list of all the people that have liked it. Anyone that's got a story circle around their face, I'll go and watch a load of their stories and then go and interact with them and being part of their world, because then you'll find you started a DM and then you start having a conversation in the DMs, which then opens up what we were just talking about earlier.
Amazing. Big question that I would like to explore, and that's growth strategies. Because it's like, how is an artist at the beginning of their career going to grow? Is it literally the engagement? It's such an open question, I know, and there's no probably one answer. And you say there's so much information and noise online. How have you found with some of your artists, they've grown what is it? Is it the content? Is it the messaging? Is it the understanding the platform?
The big one is a big record. Let's just let this is artists and DJs and producers, and let's just get the easy one out of the way first and foremost. A big record's going to grow you in any shape and form, and it's going to bring everyone to you. So making the best music possible, that's the easy one. The next one is collaboration. Collaborate with other people on social. Collaborate with, if you've got a release and it's coming on a label, speak to the label. How many collaboration posts can you do? Those collaborator posts are mental. Can you do a collaboration live? We do collaboration lives, and we'll jump online with our artists and chat to our artists, and we're basically pulling our audience from each other. And it gets much.
What does that look like? What does a collaboration post look like? Is that just a duet on TikTok, or is that singing together, or like what? Could you elaborate on that?
It could be like our artists, if they're doing, say for instance, you've collaborated on the music, jump on a live and talk to each other about the stories around the making the music. That collaboration of a joint live, like a room on Instagram Live, or just being live together. Or it could be, you record questions for each other. Especially if you're in separate locations in separate countries, record a video of asking the person the question, and they'll answer it, and then sort of someone sandwiches it together and collaborates across the post that goes across both pages. It could be duetting. It could be if you're in the same location. It could be DJing. It could be making fun content that way. There's so many ways to skin the content graph. It's like But the collaboration thing is a big one, and it's definitely going to help you grow because you're basically pulling on each other's audience. And now you can do multiple collabs on Instagram, so you can collab with up to 4 people. That could be 2 people that have worked on the track. It could be the record label, and it could be a brand like Data Transmission pulling in and adding extra weight to it.
That's really useful information. You mentioned about live. Let's go down that little rabbit hole. You've started and done extremely well on Twitch. So congratulations on that.
Thanks.
I'll put the link in for those to follow you down there in the notes. How important is live? How do people do it? People are like, I've had to learn to get used to talking on camera. How do you overcome that? Is it important enough for me to learn, or a musician to get used to playing live? What can they do? Is it live singing with their guitar in a studio or in a car and just doing it live? Could we delve into the live sort of space and what do you think about that?
Yeah, 100%. I love live. So Twitch reached out to me in 2021. Do you know what? This goes back to networking. I met a guy in Miami in 2013, and we went to an after party, and then 8 years later, in 2021, 8 years, yeah, 8 years later in 2021, he's now the one of the senior people at Twitch Music. Messaged me and goes, "I love your YouTube channel. Can I pay you lots of money, many bags of gold, to come and do the same content on Twitch?" And we were like, "Yeah, let's do it." They basically put me at the highest part of Twitch and helped me so much build my channel. So we're very lucky with Twitch. But there are so many people just starting at the base level, and it's like live platforms like Twitch are so good for musicians. It's so good for DJs, especially if you can't get gigs and you've got no way of making content. You can't get the DJ gigs, or you can't get the live performances. Live is, and using those live platforms, since COVID, it's obviously totally acceptable to be live at home. People don't mind that you're in your garden, or you're like, as I am now, in my shed. We built a studio in my shed in my garden. And it's totally acceptable to do that. And it's totally acceptable to make content, and people love watching it because it's raw and it's you and it's home, you know. I'm the same dude. I feel so awkward on camera. Every time I switch the camera on and turn and look at it, I'm like, and I'm so fearful of it. Even now, 800 YouTube videos in and nearly 1,000 hours alive, I'm still like, so everyone's like that. Well, I was given many bags of gold to come and do it, so that definitely helped. But if you're going to do it and you don't get that, then again, it's that thing about, can you push yourself to do it? Can you go, yes, me doing this, me turning up on this platform is going to be good for making content, it's going to be good for my career. And then once you're in there, it's actually quite fun. Like, you start building an audience, you start looking at the live audience coming in, and you chat to them. And so much of our live audience are now our friends, and we've helped them. And I've helped some of the people in our Discord, for instance, get record deals. And, you know, just off the fact that they were in the live and they're part of the kind of we call it, because it's in my shed, we call them our shed heads. So they're just part of our shed head crew, you know. But yeah, live's so much fun. Like, it's really good for music. Like, for instance, Twitch is really good for people that are making music, because you don't have any of the kind of licensing problems. You just sit there and make music, and you get your audience to come in and go, right, should we write a song today together? Let's, you know, give me some ideas in the chat, and I'm gonna give me some ideas for lyrics, and I'll make a song from it. And then that can turn into this mad piece of content and also a rap mad song that then you can get signed. You can sit and do covers, but it's all content. From a DJ point of view, live on Twitch is great. There's so much audience for it. And you'll find audiences in different parts of the world, like we were talking about earlier. If you're a UK, but your sound is very US, for instance, you can go live and there is an audience there for it. You can then build that audience, and then it can turn into gigs, you know. But again, just set a time that you're going to say, right, I'm going to be live Tuesday 6 o'clock, Monday 1 o'clock, Wednesday 1 o'clock, and turn up at that time, and then you'll find people turn up for you.
Can you monetize Twitch? And that leads me
Yes.
on to the next question. Can you monetize your social media, and how could you monetize it?
Yeah, you can monetize Twitch. So basically, you start a Twitch when you're as a normal streamer. After you've got 50 followers, you've streamed for 8 hours over 7 consecutive days, and you've had 3 people watching at a time. 3 people watching at a time is really easy. You just get an iPad, a phone, and have yourself on a different screen on the computer. Then you can go become an affiliate, and then basically with an affiliate you can earn subscriptions. So people subscribe to your channel, but they can also give gift subscriptions. And some of my friends that are DJing they can have up to 100, 200 gift subscriptions per stream, and at 50% of £4, like £2 basically per subscription, they can get 400 quid per stream, just from building an audience and building that following. So some of them will stream every day and build quite a nice revenue stream for themselves over a month, you know. From a social media point of view, yeah, you can monetize social media, but again, it's the goals. Like, what are the overall goals for that for your account? Like, you're trying to build an audience essentially that you build a following and an audience because you want them to listen to your music, which then that turns into streams and monetization, or it turns into gigs and that turns to monetization. Monetizing the little bits of here and there sometimes not worth it. Or maybe you build an external monetization, like, you know, people are doing these lockdown discords where they do production discords and they teach people and people pay. Like, I'm in one, it's called Kick and Bass, and I'm a mentor in Kick and Bass. Basically, people that sign up they have 3 tiers of subscription, and they basically get different things from being a different role basically. Or like YouTube, you can have member sections on you, and you give different content for different members, you know. But again, this is all a time factor, and it's, do you want to do that, and do you want to go down that route, or do you want to just make the best music possible and kind of build the audience around that content?
Big question that I've always thought is engagement better than having followers? Or is followers, what metrics matter on organic social media?
YouTube is watch time.
Yeah.
TikTok is watch time. Instagram Reels, it's watch time. The closer you get to 100% watch time, the more the reach of the thing grows, and then the other engagements come, the likes, the comments, the shares, whatever else. I definitely think more engagement is better. You can have a smaller account but a really super engaged one, and that's going to definitely, like, look at these micro mini influencers are, like, you know, up to 10,000 followers. They've got super engaged accounts, and they're earning more off of it because they're engagement. My friend, I help her. She's a vet nurse, and her account is all about cats, and she's super knowledgeable about cats. She has 3 cats, and she's a veterinarian. She's done it for 20 years, and I helped her build her account and kind of advise her. She's got about 16,000 on Facebook now, because it's quite a big audience for Facebook for her, and because it's, you know, people that own cats are maybe a little bit older. She's got a great audience on Instagram, and she gets paid, speaks all over the world, gets paid for, you know, posts and kind of content. And she's only got a tiny audience, but it's really super engaged. Every post gets mad comments. So yeah, but then bookers, party promoters will look at following. You know, they'll look at numbers and following, but then they'll also look at engagement.
Yeah, it's our DJs getting, or artists getting booked just because of their social following and not the skill of the music. It's a tough one nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a big one. We could be there hours on that one.
Yeah, we'll swerve that one. You mentioned Discord. Now, Discord to me is Web3. It's the blockchain. It's the NFTs. How important is Discord to you? And then that leads me on to communities and how important what you can do with your own communities. Now, you mentioned about Twitch communities. Should people have a Facebook group? Should they have Discord? Should they create their own Instagram music page group like EDM Dubai, as I'm here? Does that help? Do you see what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah.
Important is having you've got your artist page, but should they be creating communities?
Yeah, I mean, I love our Discord, first and foremost. We started our Discord when we started on Twitch. Twitch and Discord are like, you know, ham and bread. It's like you can make a great sandwich out of them, both of them. It's like we have people in our Discord that come into our Twitch, and we do stuff that, like for instance, we listen to demos and do a demo feedback. We get people to post them in our Twitch. We link our Twitch through to our Twitch, through our Discord to our Twitch, and we listen to them from Twitch, but we display it on Twitch. And becoming a subscriber to my Twitch stream unlocks a different part of my Discord that allows you extra. There's an extra sub zone, basically. It's called the 130 Club. And again, this has all evolved over the last 2 years, but there's extras in there for our subscribers. I use my Discord for my course members. There's when you become a course member, you tell me that you're a blue. You come into the Discord and go, "Hey, I'm just signed up," and I'll make you a blueprint member, and that unlocks a completely different zone. And we give extras again for those people. I love our Discord. It's wicked. It's a great community. There's so many, like I just saw the tool room of just a record label, a really cool house techno label. They've just announced their Discord. So a lot of people are kind of shifting to Discord now. Facebook groups. We have Facebook groups, and there are some great Facebook groups. I kind of go on Facebook a little bit and not overly a fan of where it is at the moment. So I don't put as much energy into my Facebook groups as I should do.
Is Reddit a thing for you?
No, not at all. I tried the broadcast list thing and using like WhatsApp broadcast list and Telegram broadcast list, but again, it's kind of that one to many. Otherwise, it just becomes like your phone pinging every 30 seconds. Didn't really work for me. That's why I kind of like Discord. I have different sections. The thing I like about Discord is it's like old school forums. You have different sections, different chat in each section. You can go back in there and there's no algorithm. So you can literally see, sometimes you jump back in 3 days later and it's still the same conversation. Or still everyone's been busy and it's not moved on, but then you can just carry that conversation on 3 days later. It's quite nice, and you can just scroll back and see what's happened, Our Discord's getting more and more active, which is lovely. And we definitely try and give more to our Discord a lot of time, I really like it.
That's awesome. I've just got a couple of last questions, if that's all right, Grahame.
Yeah, man.
I want to jump back because it's come to me since we've been talking. Just briefly on specific release or event. There was two things that I wanted to ask earlier. One was, in engagement, should you just cut and paste your link and DM someone and expect a reply? Because it happens. Should artists understand how to message someone in a simple way?
Yeah, definitely.
Pasting a link and just sending it and expecting something. I just wanted someone to speak about it rather than me.
I always think like DMs and WhatsApps are for friends, right? And you have conversations with your mates in DMs and WhatsApps. And then when it comes to business, I do that via email because it's in a platform where I'm gonna be in a business mode. So for me, business is music business, right? So my music business is in the email because I do that Monday to Friday. I'll have a conversation with anyone at any time in DMs and WhatsApps, preferably DMs if it's kind of people I don't really know. My mates, obviously WhatsApp, and sometimes links will get dropped past, but it's because you're friends with them. And it's that, I always think it's really weird. I always think like, when you really, really, I've said this before on a podcast, when you're really, really little and you're at nursery and you wanted to play with that person's toys, you didn't just go up to them and just give them a link, did you? You kind of just you started talking to them and having a conversation, and then you became friends, and then you started playing with toys together. Well, I think it's the same when it comes to music, it comes to demos, it comes to anything. Like, you've just got to put the graft in a little bit and become friends with people first, whether it's just virtual friends and you have virtual things. It's still a loose friendship.
It's funny, my 18-month-old hasn't quite got that concept of what sharing's all about, and just absolute meltdown that his sister, his twin sister, is playing with something. So yeah, it just made me laugh when you said about you just don't go over and snatch. He does.
You're right.
Also another common issue that I see, or observation, and it's subjective whether it's wrong, is just posting about, I've got to release, go to Spotify, I've got to release, go to Spotify, I've got to release, got to release. So the content is just boring.
Yeah.
It's repetitive. You're not
Why am I
creating.
not growing?
If I'm, how do you feel about that? You know, basically going back to promoting a release per se on that 2-3 week block or 4 week block, whatever you choose. Link to my bio, link to my bio, link to my bio.
First and foremost, I interviewed Elijah, and he's a grime artist, and he created this thing called Yellow Squares over lockdown. It's just literally every post is yellow. It's like a yellow post-it note, and he says it so beautifully. Like, the whole link in bio thing is pointless. If someone likes a track and they listen to it and they're entertained by it, they'll find it on the platform they want to listen to it. They'll go and find it. So putting link in bio is a little bit pointless. You just sort of say, go on, you know, it's out there. It's out there on my Spotify, go and find it. Or it's out there on my, wherever you listen to music, go and find it. Because I listen to stuff on Soundcloud, and I'll go and listen to it straight from Soundcloud because that's the platform I like the most, because it's on my desktop. And I'll find it on there first, whether it's but yeah, that whole kind of similar content all the time is I get DMs going, I'm not growing, I'm not getting engagement, my reach is reduced. I think I've been shadow banned, which, let's just get this out there, doesn't even exist. It's a made up term that people on Instagram made up. Spoke to Meta even put it out themselves, doesn't exist. It's basically,
can you elaborate on that? What is shadow banning for those that don't know?
So the made up term that is shadow banning, basically people think that Instagram suck your reach out because they just want to. They just banned you because of, you know, because they feel like it. Doesn't exist. It's basically you've just got rubbish content and your audience is bored. So when it comes to release content, I think it's about trying to find 20 pieces of content that say the same thing but differently. Like, think of Groundhog Day, like the movie. Each day, something he tries and does it a little bit differently, a little bit different, a little bit different, and one time it hits, and then he moves on, right? So it's about trying to say the same thing but differently. Whether you're making it a production breakdown, whether you divide up the decks and your content that way, whether you're singing the a cappella because you're a singer, but it's all the same, essentially the release content, but it's doing it different each time.
Do you think then the link in bio could be to an offer or to a website to collect email addresses, in your opinion?
Could be.
Would that be better for you, or you just think a link in bio is just pointless?
I actually don't really use it because I basically use a bot and I get people to comment a word, and then the bot will message them with the link, and that works wonderfully. Whatever it is, I set up. So basically, the one that I did this morning is I've just got a new YouTube video that went out yesterday. So I'll do an intro, what you're going to get from watching the video, and then I'll say, if you want to watch the full video, comment with the word flight fac. For instance,
is that on a post? So you've done a post,
yes.
And in a comment, in the copy is, I've done a new video.
Yeah, and I'll just say comment the word flight fac, and then everyone will comment flight fac, and then basically my bot will reply to each comment with a different reply, because I've set it up to do I've given it 20 different options, and then it will then DM them and a link which they can then click on directly and go to the post instantly.
The post or the video?
So the post will be the YouTube video.
Interesting. Can I ask what bot it is?
It's called ManyChat.
Oh, ManyChat.
Yep.
Okay, know about ManyChat. Okay, awesome. So you're utilizing messaging.
Yeah, so then you'll message them and then they'll reply to it, and then basically you start a conversation, which then becomes a DM, which then they start seeing the rest of your content.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think I'm covered. I think we've spoken quite a lot. And is there anything that I've missed that you think would be good for musicians and social media, just in general? Is there anything that you're doing, or any advice?
Do you know, just when it comes to releases, just I think there's like three. I've just written a webinar about it, and I'm going to be doing a webinar next week, and I think about the 3 phases of the release. So there's the hype, like spend a lot of time in the hype. Like, we just signed a track. We've just been helping an artist get a track across the line with a label, and he's giving it to one DJ, and that's all it's gone to. And that DJ said, it can't go anywhere else. I'm going to do the hype for you. And he's played it at probably 25 festivals since he's had it. He got it in, he started listening to it and trying it out in April. He's probably played it 25 different festivals this summer, probably to hundreds of thousands of people. And that's his hype phase. So, and it's not coming out for probably 6-7 months, probably still, because they're just going to build that hype. And so many people just kind of sign a track, put it out, sign a track, put it out, and they miss that hype phase of building a record. And if you're really into the record, then spend the time building it. Then the kind of on sale becomes a bit easier because you're building you're pushing the streams, you're pushing the sales, and you're doing all the content we spoke about. And then the final part of the release is build the authority. Like, what can you build for your next? What can you build into this release that's going to give you more authority, more Googleability for your future releases? That's going to help you get more tracks over the line going forward.
Great advice, Grahame. Thank you very, very much. Really appreciate it. Last thing, rounding up. Why don't you share with me what you have on offer? If anyone wants to come to you, I'll put the links in any notes or any posts.
I just lost my shed has a sheet and it's just about to fly away. I can't have the door open because it's too hot. Anyway, right. So I have my main offer is my course, The Artist Blueprint. It's a course basically based around building artists. Everything once you've finished making the record or finished learning and learn to DJ. So everything from music marketing, social media to getting music signed to getting more gigs. That's the big course. And for that, I have discovery calls. I literally I want to jump on a call and learn about you and understand more about you and what you're doing. Because then if I can help, then we talk about where you are now, where your goals are, and if the bit in the middle is of course, then we'll talk about the course in more depth. For those that want to grow on Instagram, I have an Instagram course called Instagram Domination. It's basically one of the sections of the big course. I've rolled it out into a mini course, and it's just a standalone. It teaches you everything you need to know about Instagram and how to grow on Instagram. It's got tasks in there. It's got PDFs in there. It's got things to do, content ideas. It's jam packed, and it's all online. You just watch it. And again, I'll give you both links for the description and stuff on this podcast.
Awesome.